Last weekend was an international break which saw England win all three matches. The final game against Denmark, I can see England really going for this game.
Heavy touch from Maguire, who's dived in and he's already been cautioned and he's off before half-time. Ahead of Coady and Walker and Pickford getting in a bit of a tangle, and the referee pointed to the spot here. Maybe for that raised leg there. Christian Eriksen scores on his return to Wembley.
As England lost their final game in the Nations League in the last international break, this week I'm going to try and be a little bit less ambitious and a bit more realistic with what is going to happen. Welcome back to the international preview on my channel. Of course, that means the Premier League, Champions League, Europa League and all of the good leagues are not being played this weekend or for the next week or two. Of course, ideally in lockdown, we'd love to have all the leagues going on, the European leagues, like I said, the FA Cup. We'd love to have them all going on, but we need some time for the internationals. So that is what we'll be discussing in this video. If you do like what you see around here and you're new to the channel, be sure to smash that like button and of course hit subscribe with the notifications bell on. Anyway, we will jump into the fixtures. So looking back at the last international break in October, England had a mixed bag of results. They beat Belgium 2-1, they beat Wales 3-0, but like I said, thanks to a Harry Maguire red card early on in the game, England lost 1-0 thanks to a Christian Eriksen penalty against Denmark. That puts England in a difficult position for winning the Nations League. Had they won that game, they would have leapfrogged Belgium, which would have been really nice and would have put us in a good position. We can still win the Nations League. We'll have to beat both Belgium and Iceland in the next international break, and we have got to hope as well that Denmark lose both of their games unless we outscore them. That is the only other way that we can win. Looking forward to the next three games. We play on Thursday the 12th of November, which is my brother's birthday. We play Ireland, so nice birthday present for Jake there. And on the Sunday we then play Belgium in the Nations League in what looks like could decide England's fate. If England win, then we've got a chance of progressing into the Nations League finals. If we lose, we're out of it and we're just playing for pride. And then the following Wednesday, which I believe will be the 18th, is England versus Iceland. So lots to look forward to and lots of exciting team news as well. The team news is that Raheem Sterling and Reece James and Phil Foden retain their places. Of course, Reece James got sent off in the last game. You'd have thought that he wouldn't be included in the squad, but that of course means that he has a different option at full back. Raheem Sterling is returning after he picked up an injury in the last international break just before, which saw Reece James actually come into the fold, and Phil Foden of course had that disciplinary action against him, which is why he is now back in the squad. Mason Greenwood is another player that faced disciplinary action and he isn't in the squad yet. I'm not sure if that's because of the disciplinary action. I think it's just because Mason Greenwood hasn't been the player we expected him to be. He's not had the opportunities at Manchester United. And finally, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, despite the plethora of right-backs that we take to every single international break apparently, Aaron Wan-Bissaka has not been picked again, and I know that the Democratic Republic of Congo are looking to turn Aaron Wan-Bissaka's head and potentially get his signing and cap him before England can. Like I say, England will be positive though going into their next games. Of course, they've beaten Belgium already, which gives them a little bit of an advantage. They know how each other play, but Belgium are a very, very strong team. They need to really push on this week and they need to win all three games, preferably all three, but if they lose the friendly, is that really a big issue? I mean, I guess it is because we're losing against Ireland, and both Declan Rice and Jack Grealish have snubbed the opportunity to sign for Ireland to play for us, so yeah, but that would be a bit of a catastrophe if we lost the friendly, but I'm hoping my words won't come back to bite me on the backside like they did in the introduction. Anyway, we will jump into the score predictions. So this week we've got the score predictions nice and early on in the show because I want to hear from you guys at home. Let me know your score predictions for the 3 games in the comment section down below, and then I guess we'll review them on the next one and we will see who got the best scores, who got the most accurate scores. So we'll do that. The first score prediction I've chosen is for this week's friendly against Ireland. I've chosen a 3-1 win to England. I have to be somewhat optimistic about the England team and the England setup. We've got lots of players which Gareth Southgate will be looking to utilise in this game, and I think a 3-1 score is fair. England have been very shaky defensively, they haven't been the best, and that has really caused problems at times in England's defence. Harry Maguire proved it against Denmark. He was about as useful as a chocolate teapot.
This is great banter. It really is.
Jordan Pickford as well has been rubbish, and he's just been so inconsistent. He actually chopped down Harry Maguire at the weekend and nearly gave away a penalty. So if we have those two in our side, it could spell problems for us. For that reason, I've gone with a 3-1 win. And we all know how great England are, or can be, going forward with the likes of Sterling, Sancho, Grealish, Rashford, Kane, just to name a few. We've got lots and lots of options, and this will be really exciting to see if we can utilise some of our more squad players and keep the likes of Kane and Sterling and Sancho fit for the Belgium game. The second score prediction I have gone with, unfortunately, I have to go with an England loss on this game. As much as I want to predict an England win, I just don't think they will win this game. Belgium need to win, as do England, but Belgium's starting team is that much stronger than England's team. This is their golden generation of footballers, which has really put them on the map in terms of footballing ability. Before that, we didn't really have too many big Belgian stars. We had the occasional one here and there, but we didn't have the level which we do now with De Bruyne, Hazard, Lukaku, Thorgan Hazard, to name a few. There is plenty of talent in that starting team. I think where England do have the benefit is they have more depth in their team, maybe more depth defensively as well, with the likes of Jason Denayer and Boyata are 2 fantastic defenders, and they have Alderweireld, Vertonghen, plenty of players that have defensive capabilities. I go for a 2-1 win though, because like I said, England have defensive problems, and Gareth Southgate.
I apologize to him, and I want to make that public because I only have respect to him, and I thought that I was being nice to him.
And Gareth Southgate just loves to pick Harry Maguire and Jordan Pickford. So I can see them making mistakes, that's all I'm saying, I can see them making mistakes. But I'd love to be proved wrong on this one, of course I would. The final score prediction I've gone with is a 2-0 win for England against Iceland in the final game. It doesn't matter how the Belgium game goes, in my eyes this is going to be an England win. If they lose, they've got something to prove. If they win, then they have got a reason to fight, because they need to win this. They need to win this game in order to have a good opportunity to progress forward and go to the Nations League final. So there's that balance to it. I've gone for a 2-0 win because England look good going forward, but they haven't been as open or expansive as they normally are in the last few weeks, which has seen a lot of people criticise Gareth Southgate. I think he's doing a good job, but I do think we need a little bit more from him. I think this game would be a great game for Gareth Southgate to show, actually, look, this is what we can do even when the pressure's on. Obviously that depends on if England beat Belgium, and if not, it could be, look what we can do, let's score some goals, let's make sure we don't finish 3rd in the group, which would not be a catastrophe, but it wouldn't look great considering we beat Belgium only a month or 2 ago. Moving on to the players to watch category this week, we have no teams to watch category as always in the international preview, because I am just focusing on England because they are my nation. I've chosen Jack Grealish as the first player to watch in this international break. Jack Grealish has been a player that has really shone in the early weeks of the Premier League season and has been playing a pivotal role in dispatching Liverpool, hate to bring it up again, but it was 7-2. He played a vital role in dispatching Liverpool and that 4-win run that Aston Villa went on during the early parts of the season. Grealish has been compared a lot to the likes of Mason Mount early on in this season, and stat-wise, of course, Jack Grealish looks much better, but they are two completely different players. Jack Grealish plays as more of a wide playmaker, whereas Mason Mount can be more of a box-to-box midfielder, which is why Southgate tends to play him over Jack Grealish. Southgate tends to play a 4-3-3 with obviously a left winger, right winger and a striker, but the difference is in midfield he plays a holding midfielder and two players either side that are more box-to-box midfielders, so they'll get up and attack and they'll come back and defend as well. And that's where Jack Grealish is struggling. He's not going to get in front of Rashford, Sancho, Sterling or Kane, or even Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front, and he's certainly not going to fit in that box-to-box midfield role because that's not the player he is. Having said that, Jack Grealish really needs to take his chances this week. He needs to put a good performance out against Iceland in the friendly. I'm expecting him to start that game. I'd be very surprised if he didn't because he's got lots of talent and I'm sure Gareth Southgate will want to keep the whole squad happy. Jack Grealish really needs to take that opportunity so that he can show he is as good as Raheem Sterling and Sancho and of course Rashford specifically, who aren't going to be displaced from this team very easily. The second player I have chosen is one that I have mentioned quite frequently when I was talking about Jack Grealish actually, Raheem Sterling. Sterling is a fantastic player. Despite only scoring 2 times this season, Raheem Sterling is back fit and ready to play for England, which is fantastic for any English fans. Since the 2018 World Cup, he has really kicked on and had a fantastic England career. He had a bit of a goal drought during the World Cup, but that soon ended and now we're looking at the best of Raheem Sterling. He very much thrives on a good creative midfield who make lots of chances and give him easy sort of tap-ins, but he can also create goals himself. That is where Harry Kane comes in. Those two have built a great bond between the two of them, and apparently Harry Kane has turned into a prime Cesc Fabregas this season, getting some fantastic assists which I haven't seen for a long while from an English player, let alone even De Bruyne would be proud of those, and that is something that Raheem Sterling thrives on, is great through balls and creating chances. That is something that really suits Raheem Sterling down to a T. And I think against Belgium, if Harry Kane plays like he has been for Spurs, creating lots of opportunities and scoring goals, then that will really help us see a real development of Raheem Sterling and potentially see him get on the score sheet during the international break. The final player I have chosen to watch is actually one of my favourite players in this squad, Conor Coady. The reason he's one of my favourite players is he just seems like a down-to-earth guy. He just seems like your average Joe like you or me. But he's a really good, intelligent footballer, no-nonsense centre-back, and I think that is something that England need. Harry Maguire, John Stones, these players have lots of mistakes in them. And with Harry Maguire very much struggling at the minute, his focus seems to be somewhere else. I'm not sure if that's anything to do with what happened over the summer and he's just feeling a bit too much pressure at the minute, but Maguire hasn't been at his best and we know he can be a really good defender. Conor Coady on the other hand has really stepped up and has been a vital player for Wolves this season. Wolves have been very defensively sound when other teams haven't looked so great. Coady has been fantastic in his first few appearances for England and I'm excited to see what he can bring to this England setup and to see if he can solidify that defence a little bit more. I think against Belgium specifically, he could really be what determines England losing and England winning, because Belgium have a lot of attacking threat and having a no-nonsense centre-half who's good on the ball is something that England really need. Anyway, that concludes this month's international preview. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and of course comment your score predictions down below and let me know who do you think will be the player to watch in these games this week. Thank you for watching and I'll see you on my next video.